Somebody say, what in the world does this have to do with me? I'm not a slave. I'm an American. I vote. I get to say what I want. We get to meet wherever we want. We have freedom of the press. We're free. That's the lie. The Bible doesn't make sense until you understand slavery. It's the Old and New Testament theme for sin. Americans aren't free. They're slaves. I'll prove it to you. Now, let me first tell you why Americans don't see themselves as slaves and why what Peter is saying, ransom, slaves need to be ransomed, redeemed. I don't need to be ransomed, redeemed. I'm not a slave. I'm free. No, you're not. The reason we don't see our slavery is because our slavery is voluntary. Think about that. This is very important. Our slavery is voluntary. Because we choose our Pharaoh, we feel like we're free. But when he puts shackles on our hands, we're not free. Even if we chose our Pharaoh, we're still slaves. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, let's just examine the usual suspects. Food. Eat too much, eat too little. You're a slave to it. It rules over you. Shackles. Alcohol. Say, well, I chose to drink. Get drunk, become an alcoholic. Shackles. You're a slave to it. No, I'm free. You were free to choose your Pharaoh. But once these shackles affix themselves around your wrists, you weren't free anymore. Drug abuse, self-imposed voluntary slavery. Gambling, self-imposed voluntary slavery. It's true, isn't it? Sex, porn, voluntary slavery. I'm free. You're free to pick your Pharaoh. You're not free to worship God. I'll give you another analogy. Debt. Americans right now are panicked because they put their hands in and now the shackles are on. They're in debt. The New Testament says that the borrower is what to the lender? Slave. Uses the word. Uses the word. You run up massive school debt, massive credit card debt. Your credit card should not say, Citicorp. It should say Pharaoh. Hands go in. You say, but I was free. I chose to buy those things. You chose to be a slave to a lender. And now it controls your life. What you do, where you live, how you spend, where you work, the degree you get, when you get married, when you have kids, everything. Slave. You're not free. You're slave. I want you to see that Americans are slaves. They are not free. They're not free. And that Jesus is the one who ransoms us. Just like God came in and crushed Pharaoh and liberated his people. God comes in, crushes our enemies of Satan, sin, death, hell, the wrath of God, and he liberates us. And the last thing I want for you, Marcel, is to be pining for Egypt.